All right. Cutting down time in the gym. I can't remember who made this video. I just saw a thumbnail and I saw a title and went, fuck it, I'll make that the topic of my video today because I just couldn't think of anything. So I can't remember who it was. I think it was a few people. Sometimes I try to look for videos that are trending and everyone's making a video about it at the time. And then I just jump on the wagon with my own um, non-cookie cutter ideas. So if it seems like I'm copying someone in this video, great minds think alike. Me and whoever they are thinking on the same path, but I really haven't watched anyone make this topic. I just wanted to talk about it. So how do you cut down time in the gym? First thing is HIIT. Duh. I mean, channel says it all, but it is the best way to cut time in the gym. If you're doing one set to failure, you're going to save far more time than if you do 4 sets with reps in reserve. 4 sets with reps in reserve on a bench press is anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes worth of your time. You take maybe 20 to 30, maybe a minute of time to do the set, maybe 5 minutes to warm up, maybe 2 to 3 minutes in between, sets, depending on how long you're resting. If you're doing like a 5x5, you might be resting 5 minutes in between your sets. It could take you fucking damn near 25, 30 minutes to do a bench press set. You do 1 set to failure, you're looking at maybe 5 to 10 minutes max. So high intensity will undoubtedly cut down the time in the gym. If you're doing 5 different exercises per body part, or let's say you're doing a push day, chest and triceps, 5 sets is all it's going to take to do that workout because it's all just 1 set to failure. But if you do if you do a volume context, you're doing 4 sets, then 8 sets, then 16 sets, then 20 sets, then 24 sets, all of which each exercise takes, 20 or 30 minutes. You're looking in the gym for like 2.5 hours. High intensity workouts, if done right, will take anywhere between 15 to 45 minutes maximum, depending on how many body parts you're training. If you're training in a split routine, say, chest and triceps, you could undoubtedly get out of the gym within 30 minutes. So high intensity makes more out of less time. Duh. Not going to make the whole video about why high intensity is better than volume. This is not a intrinsically high intensity video. It just so happens that high intensity kind of crushes volume in this context. But that's the first thing. Switch to high intensity and you'll save a mountain of time. Next is drop sets. So this is kind of adding on to the high intensity thing. If you are switching to high intensity to save time, a lot of times you have this sense of, oh, I'm not doing enough sets. 1 set doesn't feel like enough. Or, you understand that 1 set is enough if you do it to failure, but mentally you just feel like you got more in the tank. So, all right, cool. Let's do those 4 sets you were doing before, where you would rest 5 minutes in between and do reps in reserve and you're bored out of your fucking mind, you're taking up all your time. Let's put them all into one fucking big off, fuck off high intensity set. You do that bench press, you take it to failure. Let's say you're doing 8 reps. Cool, you drop enough weight that you can then do 8 reps with lighter weight as a drop set to failure. Then you drop the weight once again, do another 8 reps to failure, and then drop the again if you feel like doing the 4th set to failure. All of a sudden, you've done 4 sets all done to failure in like no more than 2 minutes of time. Versus the 15 to 20 minutes of doing 4 sets of reps in reserve with a shit ton of time in between, bored out of your fucking skull, not taking any intensity of effort into the equation, and oftentimes getting less gains. So if you're going to switch to high intensity to save time, drop sets can be a really good way of getting that extra work beyond failure, or feeling like you need to do a bit more, so you do drop sets to overcompensate for the fact that you're not doing all these sets now, or these sets with rests in between. Next is rest pauses. So same exact thing. You're doing the 1 set instead of the 4 sets now, but you still feel like you want to get a bit more done. You want to get a little bit more time and attention, or a little bit more work beyond failure because you're not used to doing this little amount of sets. Do a rest pause. Do the bench to failure, hit 8 reps, take 20 to 25 seconds rest, hit another set, maybe you get 4 or 5 this time. Rest another 20 seconds, maybe you only get 1 or 2 this time. And then all right, 1 or 2 reps, there's no way I'm getting any reps after this unless I do an actual bona fide rest period. So rest pauses can be great, even if you're not necessarily, training to failure. If you're just doing sort of like an 8x8 or a German volume training, like a 10x10, it's almost like a glorified rest pause. You're doing 10 reps, maybe 3 or 4 reps in reserve. You rest 45 to 60 seconds in 10x10, and then you go again. You could get 10 sets of 10 done on a bench press in maybe 10 to 15 minutes max. But at the end of 10 by 10, good luck then moving on to another chest exercise. You're going to be cooked. 10 by 10 is probably the only volume scheme that I actually enjoy personally, because it saves time and it's relatively intense. And by the last, ninth or 8th or 10th set that you do on 10 by 10 or Vince Gironda's 8 by 8, you're basically going to take those sets to failure anyway. So it's just like a really intense variation of volume, basically. Next one is supersets. No brainer. I'm sure plenty of you guys are doing it, but if you haven't done supersets, you should be implementing them into your volume workouts. I did volume for years. One of the things I hated most about volume, other than the inferior gains that I got, was how much fucking time I spent in between sets, monotonously bored out of my mind, not being able to focus on the actual exercise itself because I was too bored. One of the better ways of implementing time saving for me was supersets. If I'm doing a bicep curl, I'd immediately then go over and do a protagonist tricep extension, because bicep curls are not that hard. I'm not out of breath. So I have plenty of, room in the tank for then another movement, protagonist and antagonist movements. I would even circuit movements, like I would do side lateral raises, and then when I was done with that, I would bend over and do rear delts, and then I might even do forearms with that. So I do like 3 or 4 exercises in one. But there's a few things you have to be careful with here, and there's limitations as ever with volume, in the sense that you can't pair a barbell bench press with a barbell row, for example. These are 2 heavy compound movements. After you're done with the bench press, you're gonna be out of breath, you're gonna be fatigued. If you then immediately go over to a heavy compound barbell row, you're not gonna get anywhere as much intensity of effort or good form out of that movement when you're huffing and puffing from that previous intense compound movement in the barbell bench press. So it's limited in the sense you can't really superset compound movements unless you want to lose even more intensity, which volume already ceases to have. And then also you want to take into consideration not supersetting movements that have indirect overlap. So you don't want to superset a barbell bench press with a barbell overhead press, because once you're done with the barbell bench press, not only are you fatigued because it's heavier compound, then you go to do an overhead press, your triceps are going to give out before your shoulders do. Then when you go back to the barbell bench press, your shoulders are going to be taking over because they're pre-fatigued from the overhead press. Now you can't isolate your chest. There's many overlap exercises. So realistically, just do protagonist, antagonist, isolation movements like bicep curls, tricep extensions, forearm curls, calf raises, etc. Next is more compound split routines. So if you're, say, doing chest, then back, then legs, then arms, then shoulders, or a large split routine where you're training 5 to 6 times a week, you're in the gym more. Now, granted, you have to train all the muscles equally. If you were to do then a full body workout twice a week, you'd still be spending the same amount of time in the gym. The difference being you're not spending as much time driving to the gym, warming up for these exercises, getting your mentality right before you go to the gym, thinking about the gym, spending time, because the gym isn't necessarily just the gym itself. It's all the things around it. It's the meal you have to have before you go to the gym. It's the post-workout shake. It's the fatigue it takes out of you, and thus then you can't then do other things in your life. After the gym, it's hard to then be like, all right, now I'm gonna go focus on my business, or I'm gonna go focus on do this. No, after a hard workout, it's like, I'm fucking tired. I need to sit down for 30 minutes to chill out. You do that 5 times a week, it compounds up. You do that twice a week or 3 times a week with like a push-pull leg split, you're going to save time, not necessarily in the gym, because you'll spend more time in the gym because you're spending less days and you're compounding these movements together, but ultimately you're saving time outside of the gym, if that makes sense, especially the commute to the gym, because you might drive 20 to 30 minutes to the gym and take 15 minutes to get ready. You ladies out there, you might be taking an hour to get ready. So more compound split routines could be a good option if you want to spend less time outside of the gym in order to go to the gym. Next point is cut the fluff and pump garbage. So are you doing excessive sets? Like, are you doing, 5 to 6 sets on a given exercise, when realistically you could be doing 2 to 3 decently intense sets with maybe 1 to 2 reps in reserve, or maybe even 1 set to failure? Are you doing way too many sets with way too much rest in between? Are you doing way too many warm-ups? On a bicep curl after a back and bicep day, when you're warm-ups, you've already warmed up your biceps with pre-activation from chin-ups and cable rows, etc. Are you doing like 3 or 4 warm-ups and resting in between your warm-ups before you do your biceps, when you're already doing reps in reserve because you're doing volume? If so, cut that shit out. Stop taking too much time in between sets. Stop taking too many sets to warm up when you don't need it. Yeah, if you're squatting, 600 pounds, for sure, do 5 to 6 warm-ups because you're an elite strength athlete. But if you're just a normal dude doing, reasonable weights but nothing crazy, or if you're a beginner or novice, you don't need anywhere as much warm-ups. You don't necessarily need anywhere as many sets if you increase the intensity relative to the volume, and you don't need as many exercises. People will do like 7 exercises for biceps. My brachioradialis hammer curls, and then my reverse curls, and then my like bicep curls from the cable this way, and then like a decline curl, and then like an incline curl. It's like, dude, there's fucking 2 heads to the bicep brachii, and then you have a brachioradialis. You need 2 to 3 exercises maximum to hit your biceps, and you sure as shit don't need anywhere as much volume as you would on, say, a chest or back, where back has a harder time connecting to the muscle tissues because of less proprioception and pain receptors, etc. So cut out the shit that you don't need. I guarantee you, in a lot of people's workouts, there is a lot of fluff and pump. Next is home gyms. This one's obvious, but I mean, when I want to work out, I walk 20 minutes or 20 meters in that direction and I work out. It's very, very easy. I used to go to commercial gyms. I would drive 20 minutes in that direction and then 20 minutes back after the gym. That's 40 minutes of my time. Not to mention the fact that I had to wait around for gym equipment. I had to, sign in, like all the different, nuances of a gym that slow you down, namely when people are hogging equipment. You're waiting to use, the leg press machine. There's only one leg press in your gym, and there's some dude on it doing the fluff and pump garbage I just mentioned. They're doing 15 sets of fucking 20 reps in reserve sets. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Home gym, bam. I'm right there. I'm on my equipment. No one's hogging it. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Cuts drastic amount of time. On top of that, if I really wanted to, and this is what I used to do when I used to do volume training, if you really, red pilled on volume for whatever reason, I would multitask. Rather than sitting around for 2 to 3 minutes in between my monotonous fucking sets of volume, I would go and clean the dishes, or I come in here and text someone, or I do something else, and then I'd be like, oh, it's been about 2 to 3 minutes. Cool, go back to my home gym. And it's like, it's not even time at that point. I'm just in my home hanging out, and I happen to be doing sets of exercise in tandem. Nowadays, I don't do that because I do high intensity training. I don't have any time in between sets. I just do my set and then I move on to the next one. But if you've got a home gym, you can do all kinds of shit. You could do your squats, then you could play a fucking 3 hours of Minecraft, and then you could go and do your bench press, and then play 3 hours of Minecraft. And on top of that, you'd be fresh as fuck every single set, rather than waiting around in the gym, waiting for someone, waiting on their set, packing it all in as quick as you can. You're just chilling. So home gyms are sick for that reason. You'll save plenty of time with home gym. Next is focus dickhead. I don't know why you're a dickhead. When you go to the gym, don't go up to Bob and say, hey Bob, how was your day? And Bob tells you how his day was for the next 10 minutes. And then you're like, oh, hold on, Bob, I got to do another set of bench press. And then you go back to Bob and Bob tells you more about his day, or more about how his wife's cheating on him, or more about how his kids don't love him anymore. Whatever it is, focus. Fuck Bob, train. Just focus on what you're doing. Don't go off. I mean, this is very oxymoronic considering I just told you to go do bench presses, then go do your dishes. But hopefully you understand what I'm saying. When you're at the gym and you're not having the luxuries of then, using your time wisely in between sets, like cleaning dishes or talking to your loved ones, go to the gym to go to the gym. Don't go to the gym to talk to people. Don't go to the gym to fuck around if you're trying to save time, because this should be a no-brainer. If you're really trying to save time, you surely won't be doing this. But I used to spend way too much fucking time in the gym when I could have just been working out. So focus, don't talk to people, don't go on your phone and lose track of time on reels because you spent 15 minutes in between the bench press, and be the guy that stopped me from using the fucking bench press when I wanted to use it, and save everyone time. Next is time your sets. Obviously, if you want to optimize as much time as you can, if you need 3 minutes on the bench press in between sets to recuperate, then set a timer every 3 minutes rather than going up for guesswork. I mean, you'd be surprised how long people rest in between sets. I've watched it. I'm a personal trainer. The amount of times I've been training someone and they'll be like, all right, is it time to go yet? And I'm like, no, it's only been 60 seconds. Or they're like waiting around too long and I'm like, ready to go. And he's like, oh, no, I need a bit more time. I'm like, man, it's been 3 to 4 minutes. It's ready to go, bro. So you got to be careful with your times in between sets, because if you get distracted, you're talking to Bob, you're on reels, or you're just sitting there off daydreaming like I used to do when I did volume because it's monotonous as fuck, you're going to let time get ahead of you. And all of a sudden you've rested 8 to 12 minutes in between a set of 8 to 12, and you spent an hour on the bench press. So time your sets. It will make a huge difference because you really will not understand intrinsic time unless you're a PT. If you all you do all day is intrinsically understand what 30 to 90 seconds feels like because you're training people all the time, then by all means. But most people don't have a very good idea of how long it's really been. Last one, is do a form of training you actually like doing. Time in the gym won't feel like any time at all if you're enjoying what you're doing. You could spend 3 hours in the gym, but if you fucking love it, it won't feel like a long time. You'll be like, I want to stay here. So for me, it's high intensity. I love high intensity. It's fun as fuck. And it just so happens that it takes fuck all time by proxy. But if you can find a form of training that you fucking love, even if it takes you 2 to 3 hours, then it doesn't matter. I mean, granted, if you have kids and a wife and, obligations, then yes, maybe you won't be able to do a form of training that you love if you like training for 3 hours with a super high volume, in which case this will not be for you. If you're looking to cut time down in the gym just because you don't really enjoy the gym, which is what a lot of people do, including myself, I didn't really enjoy the gym until I started doing high intensity training because I like things done quick and intensely, then you need to find a form of training that you actually like. And once you find that, then the time will go quick as fuck because time goes fast when you're having fun. So that's my tidbits for today. I think I've got some more in my head rattling around, but this will do for today. Maybe I'll make it part 2, I don't know. But yeah, these will all save you so much time in the gym. If you stack them all together, you'll be out of the gym in seconds. Anyway, see you guys for more. Bye-bye.